Chapter 7. A Midnight Chase and a Clue That Failed. Roy could have kicked himself. Why hadn't he kept awake? Perhaps the mysterious person or persons had come just as he'd fallen asleep. What a chance he had missed. How exasperating. Have they been gone long? He asked Mrs. McAtree feverishly. Can't tell, replied the old lady, but it cannot be more 5 or 10 minutes at the most. I got up as soon as I heard the noise, but of course I had to put something on, and then by the time I could get to the door, there was nothing and nobody to be seen. I'll follow them, said Roy with determination, running down the garden path. But when he reached the road, there loomed up before him the greatest question: which way? It was a very dark night, somewhat misty, and of course, Roy hadn't the least idea which way to turn. He stood a moment and pondered. There were 4 routes he might follow. He could run straight ahead down the main road into the village. He could go up the rough path to the mountains. He could turn down a side track on his right to the peats, or he could cut across the field to his left in the direction of the cave. Which way should he take? Suddenly, he felt the lonesomeness of it all. How eerie it was there in the darkness and silence at 1 a.m., 30 miles at least from the nearest policeman. For a moment, he thought he would go back to his uncle's home in bed. But no, the chance was too good to miss. He would go on. He would find his quarry if it meant staying up all night and walking all the way to the cave. The cave! Yes. Instinctively, he chose the route to the left, and plucking up his courage, started a sharp trot across the fields. Aided by his flashlight, he jumped ditches, climbed granite boulders, which shake the place of hedges in northern Scotland, and gradually neared his first objective, the spot where he picked up the piece of rusty clock spring. He had got about a half a mile when, chancing to shine his flashlight ahead of him, he saw a hazy figure a considerable distance in front of him, trotting along about as fast as himself. Thrilled by the sight, Roy redoubled his energies and ran as fast as his legs would carry him. The next time he flashed on the light for a moment, he felt sure he was nearing his prey. He hurried on apace. He was now climbing up the hill on which he had found the clock spring. The figure was much farther up, and occasionally a small boulder, loosened by his hurrying footsteps, came rolling down dangerously near Roy, but that was nothing to him. His long-cherished desire was at the point of realization. Then he tripped and fell. That wasted 2 precious minutes. When he arose, the figure was beyond the range of his light. He tried his best to make up for the delay, but in vain. He ran harder than before for a half a mile or so, and felt sure he must long ago have caught up to his prey, but there was nothing to see, nothing to hear. Finally, he came to the hill under which the entrance of the cave, but there was nothing to reward him. At last, tired and disgusted, he turned and wandered slowly homeward. He still kept a sharp lookout, but he might have saved himself the extra energy. Arriving at the store at 3:30 a.m., utterly weary, he soon fell fast asleep. When he was fully awake the next day, which was not till nearly dinner time, his father and uncle wanted to know the results of his night's vigil. Mrs. McIntyre's story of how Roy had gone to sleep just when the angels had arrived had already reached their ears and caused much merriment at his expense. But Roy retorted that he had seen something, though he would see a lot more before many hours had passed. More than that he would not say, and the laugh only stiffened his resolve to complete the solution of the mystery. He was too tired to do any more investigation that day, or even the day following, and this gave him a chance to hear the story of the next angelic deed. The strange part about this was what was identical with one that had happened just before his arrival at Longview Village. The poor old widow, who had once received bread, crackers, and hearing by the hand of a midnight visitor, again the recipient of a similar kindness, but this time with the addition of a quarter of a pound of coca. Roy visited the old lady. She, of course, was overjoyed at the gift and could talk nothing else. He made careful inquiry respecting the crackers and cocoa. There might be a clue here. Then he went to his uncle and asked if he had sold these articles to anyone in the store recently. Uncle had sold just this very kind of crackers and cocoa lately, but unfortunately, to so many people, he couldn't remember anyone in particular, so that clue was useless. Roy now resolved that he would give up hunting along these side tracks and make one last supreme effort along the line he had for many days thought would bring results. He would search the cave, and he would search it by himself. With this purpose in mind, he began to make preparations, being careful to secure for some of the older villagers as good a description as possible of the inside of the cave, especially concerning the number, length, and position of its branching corridors. With the information he got from these people, he drew a rough sketch and planned a systematic and exhaustive search of the long tunnels and dark recesses of the ancient cavern. Continue listening.